Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update to my fellow hairstylists. And I have a lot of hairstylists that listen to this podcast. We made it! Yay! It is Monday, December 23rd. I actually have to go into the salon in about 2 hours, and that will officially be my last day of the holiday. Of course, I'll be around this weekend doing hair. It never stops for us hairstylists, but we made it. Every year it is crazy and crazier. I somewhat prepare myself, but I prepare myself by not preparing myself. Very mutable energy like. And I just want to say good job working hard, bringing everyone that beautiful hair. You know, we have our regulars who show up every week, every month, but then everyone else comes out of the woodwork. Someone needs a haircut that hasn't had a haircut in 9 months. Someone comes back from college. It just becomes crazier. So my hairstylists that listen to this podcast, I'm sending you so much love. Get lots of rest. I hope you guys took a couple days off, and we will be killing it in 2025. Okay, on this podcast, we're going to be talking about Saturday, the 21st, which had already happened. Or what was the 21st? I guess, yeah, that was Saturday, right? We entered Capricorn season. So we're going to talk about Capricorn season and a little bit of the truth about Capricorn people and some of the stereotypes that people say about that. Christmas Eve, we have Jupiter in Gemini, still retrograding, squared Saturn in Pisces. Then on Thursday, the 26th, we have Mercury direct opposite Jupiter retrograde. Then on Friday, the 27th, Mercury direct squares Saturn direct. And then on Saturday, the 28th, Venus in Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus. So a lot of energy for my mutable placements during this week. Now, let's talk about Capricorn season first. Capricorn season is here. Now, as soon as we entered Capricorn season this weekend, it conjuncts my Uranus-Saturn conjunction in the sign of Capricorn and goes opposite my Venus in Cancer. And for those of you who don't know, I have a moon in the first house. And I got sick. You can kind of hear it. I still had to work. I wore a mask, but I got sick. And almost every time around this time, I get some sort of cold or something, and I kind of always chuck it up to just being a hairstylist at this time and overbooked and overbusy and having children. But it's not always a coincidence that at that time the sun, so the spirit, right, it conjuncts Saturn in my 5th house of kind of creative pleasures, and it slows me down. Obviously I have to keep pushing full force, but it does slow me down. So this Capricorn season, however, I'm feeling much better. I see you can still hear it a little bit, but I am feeling better. So let's talk about some of what we're going to be experiencing over this Capricorn season. We are going to have the new moon in Capricorn on Monday the 30th. Mercury ingresses into Capricorn on the 8th. The sun will trine Neptune on the 13th, which is also the full moon in Cancer, where Mars will be retrograding. When the 15th, on the Wednesday the 15th, the sun will go opposite Mars retrograde in the sign of Cancer. That's going to be the hardest thing of this whole Capricorn season, but those are really the big happenings of Capricorn season. So let's talk Capricorns. How's my Capricorns out there? Some of my Capricorn people that listen, I've had a couple complaints, like 2 or 3, that have been like, you don't ever talk about us. I'm like, I do talk about you guys. You just got to wait till we get to the Capricorn season. That's what I have said to someone before, but they're like, but you don't ever talk about us. That's kind of Capricorns. I feel like Capricorns, because they aren't big and showy, right? They aren't like a lot of the other signs. They often feel kind of left out. They like to be of the status quo. They like to be normal. They like to almost blend in. Most Capricorns do not stand out. They actually like to blend in. So they're always thinking that they are the forgotten ones because they're not the ones who are in your face. Capricorns usually, unless they got like an Aries rising, Aries moon, something, Gemini Mars or Gemini Saturn, most Capricorns are not going to be in your face. They would rather be like in the back watching, observing, and not putting themselves out there. Because they hate being ridiculed. That's number one. They absolutely do. They are the sign of being ridiculed, so they're often most hardest on themselves, which is why they are striving for perfection in almost every single thing that they do. Now, Capricorns, they're one of the hardest working signs. If you know a Capricorn, often you'll find Capricorns running the show. They're running businesses, owning their own businesses. I've had 3 Capricorn bosses, salon bosses of my whole life. Because I feel like you don't find a ton of Capricorns in the hair world, but the ones who have been bosses, some of them have been the Capricorns. So they tend to be the bosses. They tend to run shit. They run companies. They're extremely hardworking. They're perfectionists, and they're very smart, and they're very calculated smart. They're not all over the place. They're not like, Aquarius can be very sort of otherworldly, maybe Elon Musk like. They're just very like straight to the facts, straight to the point, and they get shit done. Some people associate them with being cold, rude, mean, and to a degree, yes, that can definitely be them. I often find that women Capricorns are much harder to deal with than male Capricorns. That's just my own BS. I think it's probably because I have a Saturn Capricorn going opposite Venus in Cancer. So let's not get started on some issues I have with women my whole life. But I tend to, when I do have women Capricorns, I actually have a much harder time getting along or vibing with them. Again, I just told you why in my astrology chart than I do the men Capricorns. But what is their ruling planet? So let's go why they can be associated with cold, rude, mean. What is their ruling planet? Saturn, the malefic planet, the god of death, karma, boundaries, hard work, no bullshit, solitude, blocks, rule following, stops, restrictions. It is literally like the great grandfather planet, the one who like makes you play chess and sit down until you finish how to spell a word for 10 hours. But then the great reward comes after all that hard work and sacrifice. When we think about Saturn, we really think about hard work, sacrifice, grinding until you finally get there, which again, why a lot of Capricorns are extremely good, hard working people with no bullshit. There is a big energy around, I only care about work and a few close people that I love. That's really, now they might care about a lot of things, but they don't allow themselves to. So they don't put themselves out there to take in all this energy that could judge them or make them care about a lot of things. Again, they only care about work and a few close people that they love. Saturn does not have doesn't really have a surface. Let's talk about Saturn, the planet itself, per se. It is made of a complex surface, kind of like peeling an onion. So most Capricorn people, you only see that top layer. You only see the layer they want to show you. They're very closed off. They're very hard to get to know. And often those other layers, again, only people they love are really going to see those layers. Everyone else is going to be closed off. It's going to be very business, very, very business-like. But you're going to see one layer. They're going to control that layer. They're going to let you know what they're showing you. But then those that they love, which are very, very few, will be able to see all those other layers. Now, here's an interesting Saturn fact about the planet. Saturn only receives up to 1% of sunlight that we get here on Earth. However, Saturn radiates twice that amount, a little bit more, into space. They say that in Saturn is actually quite hot. So the outside of Saturn is cold and dry, but the inside is extremely, extremely hot. So again, just like my Caps, they're kind of cold on the outside, but very hot on the inside, just for those that they love. Now, the new moon in Capricorn, not much else is happening with this new moon, which I am loving. A quiet, calm, cool, collected new moon to start out the year of 2025. Last year, if you remember, we actually had, we ended the year and started the year with Mercury retrograding in Aquarius. So that's never fun. It's kind of like leaves the beginning of the year kind of all up in a mess. So this year, we're out of retrograde now. We're calm, cool, and collected, and we're starting this new moon in Capricorn, just getting our shit together. This will be a very grounded, calm new moon in Capricorn. I love this new moon for the start of the year. This is going to put us back on a calm reset for 2025. Since Mars is still retrograde in Leo, we won't have to deal with Mars in Capricorn season until the 15th. Actually, on like the 6th, 7th, when Mars retrogrades back into Cancer. But again, it won't go direct opposite the Sun in Capricorn until the 15th. This will be a time to reevaluate what worked for you in 2024 and what didn't. So now we're talking about the new moon in Capricorn happening right before we turn over into 2025. So these are some reflection questions. If you want to get a piece of paper, whatever, these are some questions that really will help bring that self-awareness that you need. What kind of things should we be thinking about in relation to the question I just asked, right? So here are the things that we're going to be thinking about. Where did I not place boundaries in 2024, and how did that affect my overall well-being? A lot of times our mental and emotional well-being can be sucked dry. Everything is usually our own fault if we tend to look at it that way, but it is true, is what did we not place boundaries? Where did we allow something to just suck us dry and we kept giving, or we allowed ourselves to react all the time? It's not necessarily giving. Sometimes we're giving people our reactions, right? People trigger us and then we give them the reaction, which obviously very much affects our overall well-being. Did I achieve all of my goals of 2024? If I didn't, what got into my way? Did I spend enough alone time with myself, getting to know myself in a deeper way, or the deeper parts of myself? Alone time is so important. When I say alone time, I also mean don't alone time where you're scrolling online because you're not alone. Then you're with 100 million other people. True alone time where you're just sitting and being. Maybe you have no noise, nothing, and you're just with your thoughts. Maybe you're in the woods alone with your thoughts. Maybe you're doing art or you're reading. Those type of things. Did you give yourself enough alone time? I know a lot of people don't like the alone time, but there's such an amazing recharge. And it also, we live and die with ourselves. We are ourselves. We should become our own best friend. We should stop worrying about placing all these other things on other people and learn how to be our own best friend. So this new moon is a great new moon to be alone and do a very traditional new moon ritual. Find something that grounds you, like a calm room with good smells, or a place in the woods or in the mountains. Reflect on these questions, but also do things that bring calm energy to the body, like a skincare routine, a massage, reading a book, a puzzle, writing, knitting, etc. All the calm things that are very Saturn-like. And if you can that day on that new moon, try to avoid being on your phone or scrolling. I mean, obviously you got to answer people here and there or do some emails or whatever, but try to not scroll. Try to not get on social media for that day. At least try as hard as you can, a couple hours, and just separate from there. Close the noise. Again, we have so much noise that happens in our head just because we get online, just because we get on social media. Don't start this new moon. Don't start this new year out with the reflections and the energy of the other people and what they're putting out online. On the 24th, Christmas Eve, my mutable placements, that's my Gemini, my Virgo, my Pisces, my Sagittarius, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini will square Saturn and Pisces. This will definitely make the energy of Xmas Eve a little bit of a slower pace, kind of like a lackadaisical pace, maybe a little apathetic for some people. We may find that our energy is zapped a little bit more than normal around this time. We may not feel overjoyous. You may have to calm down your passion for something, or just not feel that passionate overall. Have to take responsibility for something, a test of faith or optimism, changing or shifting previous judgment, right? There may be a previous judgment that has been happening, and now you have to shift that judgment. So maybe something you judged, something or someone, you judged them hard, and now you're shifting that judgment. And most likely for the better, actually, to be honest with you, since Jupiter's retrograde, you're kind of going back and saying, maybe I did judge this person, and maybe now I understand them a little bit more. Or maybe they say you can't judge other people for what you don't already judge yourself for. You can't already see you can't not like someone. Everything you see in someone else, you see in yourself. I used to hate that, but the more I sat with it and understood it, I was like, damn, they're right. Praise and criticism, are kind of a loop here that some of you might be feeling with family, where it's like, oh my God, they're praising me, but then they're also criticizing everything about me. Remember, this is happening to my mutable signs, and this isn't mutable energy, so everything is subject to change. Nothing is necessarily permanent, and even the feelings we feel are not permanent and will shift out of those quickly. Then Mercury, direct in Sagittarius, goes opposite Jupiter retrograde in Gemini on the 26th. Now, on December 4th, this happened when Mercury was retrograde. It's stationed retrograde. So we can be circling back to finishing something that got started on the 4th, maybe a self-awareness, maybe a conversation, maybe something bigger than that. But there can be circling back and like finishing it and moving forward. Your mind isn't so scattered anymore. You have a mental action plan on how to move forward with what you were previously all over the place about. Being able to express how you really feel, finally. Again, maybe something you were previously not able to express. Speaking from the heart, but it now makes sense or comes together. Before, well, Mercury was retrograde, you're speaking from the heart, but it was all over the place. Releasing yourself from unwanted mental change. Heart and mind. I'm like, what did I write? Heart and mind your heart and mind are finally coming together on the same page. Awareness around the inner tension playing out in you and, what has been playing out around you. That is definitely going to be, what are those tensions? The tensions between the soul and the mind, awareness around that. Now on Friday the 27th, we have Mercury direct squaring Saturn in Pisces. So again, my mutable signs, we have a lot of energy happening this weekend. That is me. So see how that plays out. I can't wait till this cold moves through me. Saturn Pisces, similar energy to what I stated above. These next 3 days, everything is coming together. This transit is really about allowing those influences that haven't been the best for your soul to be released and focusing in on what you take in, what influences you and maybe causes you to shift within your awareness. What is slowing down your mental pace? What is slowing that down? What's dogging it down? What's keeping it down? Again, these are self-awareness questions. What responsibilities have you been dodging or maybe just confused about? This weekend, you should get some mental clarity on that. Clear communication about something that has been fuzzy or lost over the last 6 weeks will also be brought up. Now, this weekend, also on Saturday, Venus in Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus. Well, first, we got mutual reception here. So we have Venus. Okay, we got Aquarius. We got Venus in Aquarius, which is Uranus. Modernly, Uranus rules over. And then we got Uranus in Taurus, which Venus rules over. So mutual reception. So again, when we have that, they sort of work together. It doesn't mean that there isn't chaos or a little bit craziness, but it does work together. So whatever surprises that have happened will end up being to the best, for us. It will end up being our benefit even later down the road. We may not see it right away. We may see it later down the road, but again, it will be for our benefit. So trust that whatever surprises you might get. Breaking through the change that you need but are scared to do. Getting thrown out of your comfort zone, but again, breaking through that change. You don't see it coming, but you can't stop it either. And you're kind of scared, but you have no choice but to not be scared. And guess what? You won't be scared anymore. Character rebellion, that really gives a statement like, this is who I am, bitches. I am nobody else. This is who I am, and I'm going to follow my own rules, and you're not going to tell me who and what I am. Having to face reality that really grounds you. No more detachment. You may have been avoiding this certain reality around something. Or someone, you're avoiding it, but you need that reality. You need to be grounded. So there's no more attachment. That attachment band-aid's being ripped off. And now you're going to have to face that reality and you're going to ground yourself in that. Again, this transit can be fun, but in a very weird way. Whew, I'll be back now. Oh, God, I just spilled my coffee everywhere. You guys would not even believe how messy I am. You really wouldn't. When it comes to food, drinks, I am so clumsy. It's almost crazy. And it's something, I guess it's the ADHD, but I've been that way my whole life. When I was a kid, I was always a messy eater. Like a teenager, I was a messy eater too. My dad used to say, Colleen, nobody is going to marry you if they see you eat that way. I mean, little did he know I had about 3. I've had a boyfriend all the time my whole life, and they've all just been like, okay, whatever, Colleen, you're gross, you eat that way, but we still love you. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all the religions, all the celebrations, and just a happy, joyful day. And through all of this, try to keep this one thing in mind. I am here right now, just today, and enjoying and think. Actually, this is what I want you to keep in mind. Remember that. Be here now. through everything, if your mind goes off on the worrying, which sometimes it can happen when the sun is in Capricorn, just say, be here now. If you go to those futuristic thinkings or wondering, oh my gosh, what's this Christmas party going to be like? What is my family going to be like? What is that going to be like? Think about the moment you're in. Be here now. Be here right now in this moment. Anytime you worry, just say, be here now. I love everyone. I hope everyone has an amazing holiday, and I'll be back next week with an episode before the new year. Yay. Love you all. Thank you and goodbye.